Well, hey, welcome back to the Driving Loaded podcast. This is our episode 18. We've taken some weeks off here or there. I am one of your hosts, Jordan Hillstrom, way back in Alabama right now, right? I always want
Yeah.
to say Georgia.
Well,
All the way back in
as we say around here, LA, Lower Alabama.
the armpit piece.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got Petey over here. And I called him today. I was bringing my dog to the vet. And I said, hey, we should jump on. It's Sunday. We got a little bit of a cabin fever going on. Let's get together and see how life's kind of going and what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great idea. It's kind of a perfect opportunity to capitalize on the time that we have, so we can fill people's ears with our voices again.
Exactly, for the six participants on this session here.
Yeah.
Something that really struck me, and we were talking a little bit, and then when I was driving back from the vet today, is gratitude. Everywhere we're, on social media, on what we call the major news outlets, hardly news nowadays, but we're flooded with toxicity, with negativity, with everything is Corona and Corona memes, right? That's pretty much all we get right now.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking it'd be cool to actually talk about like gratitude and trying to change our perspectives of, we can't control the world, but we can control how we view the world, right? Which I think ultimately affects how we end up, relating with each other and with situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've said it before, but you cannot. You're not going to be able to change the weather, but you can change your attitude. So you're not. I mean, you're in charge of your own destiny. So I know this sounds corny. People are like, yeah, whatever. It's on some poster, but no, it's true, man. Like, that's the way it is. You there's a lot of things you can't change, but there's one thing you can change is your attitude. If you got a piss poor attitude, you need to get on down the road, need to figure that out, fix it.
100% agree. I had put a little quick LinkedIn post this morning, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the LinkedIn post was about I should just tell the story. On LinkedIn, you're limited to a certain amount of characters for your posts. So it's kind of hard to articulate clearly what was going on and some of the mindset behind the situation. But I don't know what year it was, 2015, maybe, I forget. I was a state trooper for Washington State. And I don't know if I drew the short straw or how that worked out, but I ended up working Thanksgiving, like afternoon, evening, kind of a 3 p.m. type shift. So anyways, we were having a Thanksgiving dinner that evening with my extended family, and I had to work. So obviously I didn't get to partake, but I remember being in my garage, putting my uniform on, putting my gun belt on, and everything felt heavier that day. Just strapping it on, the hips immediately start hurting, the back starts hurting. Give my wife a kiss, the boys a kiss, and hug, and went into the car. And I remember signing in service, just totally ticked off, like sulking, as I said, sulking in my spirit, just angry at the world, right? And I remember it was nice out. The weather was nice. I remember driving down the road, and I worked out in Pacific County, so I'd always head west. And as I headed west, typically if it was a nice day, you'd see the sunset in front of you and that kind of stuff. But I remember looking in the rearview mirror, and it was like nice and sunny. And then in front of me, it was miserably wet, windy, and raining. It just, it was like one of those pictures, like, of misery.
Yeah.
But that was a good representation in my mind right then. Like, there was some positivity that I just left, but I was totally just, negative and angry about having to work. So anyways, I remember driving and had to deal with a couple collisions and, any other kind of random calls that would come out. And midway through my shift, still negative, mind you, my sister called and said, hey, I want to bring you dinner. And, my wife would have done that too, but it was her family that we were meeting with and all that kind of stuff. So I told her, don't worry about it. Anyhow, so my sister calls and says, hey, can I bring you a couple plates of food, whatever. So her and a friend actually jumped in a car and drove a couple hours to meet me where I was patrolling. And I remember when they got there, it was like, obviously I was feeling kind of bad that they sacrificed their afternoon, evening, but they're both single and they're like, whatever, it's an experience for them. So we ended up meeting at Long Beach, Washington's one of their fire halls there. They have, I think it's like 95% volunteer services. They have one person that lives there, but anyhow, so we met there, had dinner, and It was cool. It was like the food was obviously pretty cold by the time I got there and all that kind of stuff, but it didn't matter. Like it was some of the best tasting food I ever had because it
Yeah.
was, as I put in the post, it was steeped in love and service.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyways, all that being said, then I may or may not have broken a rule and let them come in the rig for a bit as I just randomly patrolled and did a couple pretty mundane calls. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have admitted that, but it's too late. It's out.
Yeah.
We
All
did
good.
have a call. We did have a call with a sea lion in a bathroom. So that was annoying. But for my
Whoa.
sister and her friend, like
A sea lion in a bathroom.
at a school stadium, yeah.
That's a wow. I can go so many ways with that story, but we'll stick to the nice clean version and what actually happened. Because
yeah, I'm not sure where you went with that one. With yes.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Well, I have a very corrupt mind, and
Yeah, I hear that.
Well, hey, man, what do you expect? Being in the military, man. Come on.
I never would have thought sea lion and dirty. I guess just never. Yeah, I get
Wow.
it. So anyways, it was still wet. It was still miserable. Nothing changed. But the fact of the matter is, after that day, like, I'd been through the military, I'd done deployments, I had missed out other meals and that kind of stuff. But something about that act that day, that my sister and her friend did that really changed my heart perspective on things. Like, I was sulking and pissy and I wasn't looking for anything positive. And, they made it their choice to serve me and to, give back. And, the appreciation that I got from that was obviously, it was awesome. I felt loved and appreciated and all that stuff, but it really changed my mindset on, perspective to always look at situations. If I'm feeling angry about it, literally identify where it's coming from and try to address it, because I was like tanking my own evening. I was ruining my own life in a sense because I was feeling pissy and really just on a feel bad party, so to speak.
Pity party.
Pity party.
Yeah, man, dude, I've missed with being in the military for almost 16 years, man. I missed a lot of birthdays. I missed a lot of holidays. I missed a lot of crap, man. And dude, I can resonate with that, and I know a lot of people in society can resonate with that, military or not, whatever. But yeah, it's sunny behind you, and dark and cloudy and whatnot. And dude, I've been right down that road many times.
Well, and you're right. People of every creed, walk, color, doesn't matter who you are, you deal with this mindset of you get to make a decision, because negativity and missed opportunities are always going to be there. But how can you change your perspective to say, like, you're overseas missing your daughter's party and birthday, and that's rough, or even TBY or whatever. But the idea of you can't be there, that rots. But your daughter's alive, she's healthy, she's having a birthday party. So there's a lot to be, you're blessed, and still blessed regardless of your presence there. And that's what my thing is how can we change our mindset to where we look for the positive? And, and to me anyways, if I'm sulking, I'm not at my birthday at her party and I call her, she's going to feel that negativity. So it's kind of tanking her perspective too. So
Yep.
that's something I want to start doing more is being proactive with positivity and my perspective of the situation.
So I guess to kind of answer your question, because as you're talking about, I'm thinking about it. Really, I think there is, to me, the easiest way to do it, and I'm simple minded, is you have to actively stop and think about it and make yourself, like, I think, go over the situation like, hey, I'm pissed off. Why am I being so negative right now? I need to be positive. I need to find the gratitude. I need to find the sunshine in this situation, instead of just being negative, because that is cancer in a negative way. Where if you show the gratitude and show the positivity, yes, you, like you just said, your daughter, my daughter, your sons will see that. They'll feel that. They'll even if you are 3,000, 10,000 miles away, if you're positive, you're happy, all those things, and you're looking for the positivity in it, it will be seen. So I think it starts with us. We have to take a pregnant pause, take a knee, drink water, face out, and then think about, hey man, that did it. It translates well. Sometimes you just need to take a knee and drink water and pull security. Take a second to think about it.
Yeah, you're spot on, and I think you talked about the idea of spreading that. Kind of a story locally here, anyways. There was a family that had been involved in a horrific crash and ended up taking the life of two people, and or three people, but two from one family. And The other person was in their vehicle that passed away. And, I don't know them great. I know who they are and the like, and I'm Facebook friends and that kind of stuff. And haven't talked to them, personally, but just watching from afar from Facebook. And I'm sure because it was a mother and daughter that died, and there's other kids involved in the crash that are still recovering. And I watched this father's Facebook posts and the positivity. So you can tell that he's obviously grieving and he's hurting, but he's exuding positivity. Like his mindset is always trying to see the good in things. So he's posting pictures of his boy that has, I don't know his extent of injuries, but leg injuries and I think broken collarbone and some other things. But you can see as, his boy was able to walk or like kind of crawl up the stairs by himself, and he like was cheering him on, and he's got a video of this, and he's always posting things that are like very uplifting. In fact, I kind of watched the threads and people commenting. He's actually an inspiration to everybody around them. And he out of anybody should be hurting the most. And I'm sure he is, but the perspective that he is showing, at least, is he is trying to still be that light for his kids. He's still trying to be that rock for them in this hard time. And I know he'll have his seasons and everything else, but it's contagious. Like I see that and I'm like, I might be sulking in my, living room and my wife and I get into an argument or whatever. And it's like, it's so trivial when you're, when I like going back to the perception of what's happening. It could be so much worse. So why we, squabbling over this stupid stuff?
So I have several thoughts on that. But one thing just to add to that story, just because it involves parents and a child, my cousin, whom I lived with back before I joined the military, he married his then girlfriend, and now they have two children. They have a daughter, a little bit older than my daughter, and then they have a son. And their son does not have his legs, like he was born without legs, basically. He's got two nubs. So they're basically right above the knee. And he's got a little right before the elbow on his left arm, I think. And then on his right hand, he has 3 fingers. That's it. And then a thumb. And this kid, and that's all, like when you were talking about posting positive stuff, dude, they always post positive stuff. So they live in West Texas, and he's a huge Texas Tech fan. The kid runs around with a football, and they just post all these things that this kid does. And I'm just like blown away. And ironically enough, his name is Tough. And he is one tough little kid. And I saw a post that he did something a couple days ago. And I'm like, man, there isn't anything this kid can do. The determination that this kid has. And yeah, I'm not there every day and I don't see the struggles that they face and whatnot, but it's always positive. And, just put yourself in that situation. Are you going to sit there and bitch and complain if you're religious to God, to say, hey, look, why'd you do this, God? Why did we have a kid that has, no legs and no arm and one arm missing and whatnot and this and that and the other? But instead they're grateful. They're thankful for this child, which is what you should be. And, it's always positive. And it's just, to me, it was inspirational as well to see that. The kid's an inspiration to me. So, yeah, awesome stuff.
Well, and too, and can't speak to that situation, but I've heard other stories like that where they exude positivity and their outlook on life is just phenomenal. And you're pitying them. And ultimately they're probably pitying us because we don't have true joy. We don't have true peace because we're always feeling like we're lacking because we don't see what we have right in front of us. So even in this pandemic, as we're calling it, there's a lot of horrific things happening and people are hurting. And, the financial piece, I'm affected personally. So are you. I mean, everybody's affected by the economic fallout, the downstream effect of this pandemic. We have a new company that is just taking off, and dude, it's going to be a rough ride. If we stay in existence, it's going to be a miracle. And I think we are being very crafty and trying to stay ahead of it as much as we can and adapt to the times. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, that could fall on its face tomorrow. But at the end of the day, I got 4 limbs, I got, good lungs, and I'm still healthy. There's something else in front of me I can pick up and run with. So I think that's my biggest issue right now is seeing all the negativity on Facebook and every other social media platform. And, we're already a divisive country politically. And then I get all that. We're not going to fix that in a day, but going back to the last episode of talking about, how can we effectively change, our circle of influence. And I talked about messaging 3 people that, were an influencer positively on your life. And I want to kind of keep harping on that mentality of we can't change the world, but we can change people around us and our attitude. Right. So I see those kids and I hear stories like Inky Johnson. I don't know if you've heard the story of him.
Mm-mm.
So you should Google him when you get a chance. He's one of my biggest, kind of my go-to for inspiration, because I'm a smaller dude. So us small people hang out together, I want to say he's like 5'6", 5'7". And I did see him live at a conference in New York a couple of years ago. And so he played for Tennessee. I forget his position, but anyways, dude is a stud, small guy, but just a stud. He was set to be in the NFL like the next following year. He had a couple more games to play out. He was, I think he's playing the Air Force or something. But anyways, they in a game, and just a typical tackle, dude went to make a tackle that he's made 1,000 times. He's like with blindfold on, easy tackle, and from that tackle, he didn't get back up. They had to take a stretcher, get him off the field, and I don't know which arm, but one of his arms essentially is useless now. It just dangles there.
Dang.
And so he has his entire life in front of him. And I saw when he was on the field, actually this morning, I was watching a quick clip of his that he's talking about some of this stuff. And he was on the field and his whole entire team was around, literally over the top of him, praying together. Wow. Like just the impact of that image was like, so because this guy lived for his faith, he lived for his, you want to call that his moral integrity was so strong. He was convicted, and he wasn't judgmental, but he lived with a conviction from hard work and dedication to his family, to his God. And to see the teams pouring out then after the fact, they're like, it's way more than football, right? And he talked about his teammates literally going in the showers with him for weeks afterwards to hold plastic bags over incisions because he couldn't get wet. So they'd cut out bags and they would go in like multiples. So they're showering this dude, right? So he was talking about, do you have a pack of people in your world that are that committed to you? And what does that take to get there, right? But anyway, so he talks about, people are like, why don't you go to Europe and get stem cell research or stem cell treatments for your arm, and you should be able to get back and play, pick up where you left off and whatnot. And he's like, no, you don't get it. Like the gift I've been given through this injury is it's astounding because of the lives he's affecting right now, positively saving lives from suicides to, cancer survivors. Like, dude is so inspirational. He's got a true gift, and he never would have used that gift truly in football. And he knows that now.
Yeah. And to kind of add to that, I guess, my own thoughts, like he wouldn't be the person that he should be, was destined to be from day one, had he not gone through that experience or whatever, had that tackle. Left arm is, worthless at this point, I guess, if you want to call it that. But yeah, like, dude, that's a tough situation. Like, yeah, I'll miss another Christmas with my family to keep my arm. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's where the gratitude should come in. Like, but that's one of the things that we have to accept our situation and be grateful. And I'm sure he's grateful, thankful, and he has tons of gratitude, obviously, because look at the outpouring, the effect that he's had on those around him. Like that to me is more powerful than anything out there.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I don't care if you're a veteran, non-veteran, struggle with depression, bipolar, anxieties, OCDs, PTSD, all these commonalities of people that end up giving a lot of power to these diagnoses or whatever you want to call them. And I'm not like saying that these things are not real. Like I struggle with my own battles, right? My own demons, if you will. But at the end of the day, what am I giving power to? And you're going to have your seasons, and I get that. But my theory is the more you feed something, the stronger it gets, positive or negative.
Yep.
If you feed that mindset of, I'm going to win today, I'm going to see the positive in life. I'm going to see the fact that I'm still breathing. There's still hope for me, right? In my situation.
Yeah. And exactly. And what some people say is, you wake up in the morning, either write it down or, best thing to do is write it down because you're seeing it in front of your eyes is, instead of starting out your day negatively, write something down positive. Hey, I woke up today. I'm still breathing. I still have a job, or there's food in my refrigerator. My house is warm or cool, depending on where you are, because I have electricity. So I think that'll help kind of jumpstart, and I'm, something that I should do myself. But I think it's a good way to start, because if you get that in motion, it's going to stay in motion unless you stop it. So I think it's a good way to start with that positivity and that gratitude and try to find things throughout the day, even if it's just saying them to yourself, like, man, I'm thankful for the sun because it's warm outside now and I can go outside and go fishing or go outside and run around the woods, whatever it is.
100% agree. And even take that a step further. Like, what happens when someone smiles at you? What do you naturally do?
I smile back at them. I do.
You can hardly help it. I mean, you might try to fight it, but when someone smiles, there's something that happens to your body, and you just naturally want to smile back. So, what if we start doing more positive things for people, even just a random comment or an act of kindness, whatever? This is not no kumbaya kind of nonsense. This is the more you give, it's better to give than to receive, and the more you give, the more positive you are with other people. So, giving of inspiration, texting, calling, whatever it is, like even go on LinkedIn, go on Facebook right now and just pick random people that and you know something positive about them, or even if you don't know them, who gives a rep? You can still speak life into people's situations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not only going to fuel them, that's going to fuel yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you had mentioned earlier, with all the negativity that's going on around, when you pour out that positivity, people are gonna be like, "Man, what's it? Is this dude high or something? Or is he crazy?" But then when they see it's genuine and it's real, and they're gonna be like, "Man, okay," they're actually gonna take the time to stop and think about it, and be like, "Man, that dude was, nice, pretty awesome." So they may bring that forward, pay it forward, if you will, or it may affect them to be more grateful and have gratitude.
100%. And one person I want to kind of give kind of a shout out to for appreciation in this is Mr. Sean Curry. I noticed, and there's a cyclical pattern now. I believe I'm picking up on it. Is the days that he runs, because he'll post things about his where he went, his route, and everything else. But I see a positive, inspirational thing. Typically, a lot of times in those evenings, I see something positive coming out, and I don't know his job details, but I know the position he holds or he's about to hold, or the ones he's had, and I know there's a lot of stress, anxieties you can have from those, a lot of negativity, a lot of like you're dealing with a lot of Joes. It can be tough.
Yeah.
You have people above you that maybe aren't always so nice, but the fact of the matter is the dude is always just he's protruding positivity and motivation and inspiration to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's like that guy gets it. He understands. So that's anyways, Sean, I'm sure you're listening to this at some point. I appreciate you spreading the joy. I know I definitely am becoming a better person as I see that. I'm reminded, like, all right, kind of check your azimuth again. Like, what are you thinking right now? And it's a recalibration that happens.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's great. I see quite a bit of his posts, and I enjoy them, and it's good to see where he is at as far as in his space, mentally, physically, and all that stuff. It looks like he's in a great place. And I didn't know him that well because I left, as he became the platoon sergeant. So I knew him a little bit, and I saw him here and there while on Fort Benning because he served in different capacities up at HQ and in I think 3rd Bat. And so I spoke to him on and off randomly and whatnot. But no, he's definitely got it going on. He's whatever he's doing, he's got it figured out, I think. And I mean, if he's completely miserable and hating life, it doesn't look like it. That's the complete. If he is, then he's a great actor. Sean, you're a great actor, but I don't feel that that's the case. And kudos to you. And I've been inspired by it as well. Not to take the thunder away from you, Jordan.
No, that's not about me, dude. It's not about me. Oh, that's great. And you know what? And I don't think this is something I'm going to share a little bit. I won't go into too much detail, but I actually reached out to him. I don't know if it was like a year ago or not even too long, probably a year.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd been weighing on my heart for a long time. And, I never did anything or like said anything, but I just remember holding this like contentment or like something in my heart about him when he took over the platoon because of whose shoes he was trying to fill. So it didn't matter who it was.
Oh yeah.
After we lost Mac, it was just for everybody was just hurting. So he just happened to pull that straw and I don't think most people give him a fair shake. And I actually apologized just because I felt like my heart towards him in that time was insubordinate and not that I acted on that or anything like that, but I just, anyway, so I did reach out to him and his response was very humbling too. So I do truly believe that dude's got it going on.
Yeah, he absolutely does. And he came into a horrible situation. So I've heard he did, it was a little rough in the beginning, but I mean, who wouldn't it be who wouldn't have it rough having to step in on that, that situation. So kudos on him for that. And sounds like, he regardless, he did a good job, and I'm sure he knew that he was walking into a crap storm. So,
But young Rangers, like even I was obviously never a platoon sergeant, but I knew many of them now, and I've talked to them. And it's like you jump into those positions, and that's a big step. Being a squad leader is one thing, but when you go and you take over a platoon as an NCO, that's a big deal. You usually get partnered with a relatively young PL, and so you're gun ho, you're eager, you're ready to just murder the world essentially, right? So
yeah,
it's a tough animal just in general. But yeah, I guess just to go full circle with this, I think he's someone that I can look at as a source of inspiration, of positivity, and of how to be successful with a successful mindset. Being mentally tough is not being, like, to me anyways, I could be completely naive to this, but in my opinion, being mentally tough is nothing about putting these walls up and always just beating your chest like the strong dude, but it's the ability to adapt to the situation and use your mind as a tool and get through it positively and get through it where you're actually processing information in the interim. And to me, a lot of times we put this, I don't know if I want to, like a caveman type mentality around being mentally tough. Like it doesn't make sense to me, but I see guys like that, and I see a picture of mental toughness.
Yeah. And that's generally what people associate with mental toughness, because the word toughness is in there. So they think of some big burly jack dude that
Neanderthal.
Some Neanderthal. No, but that's not the case, man. I mean, there's people that can't lift an iPod and they're mentally tough. So it's spot on. I think what you just said is absolutely spot on.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's going to call us in like 30 minutes and murder us for spending so much time talking about him. But I mean, there's many guys like that we know, but it's just one that I want to kind of call out. But the idea of this week is really showing gratitude and trying to show, like, not just show, but inject positivity into any space that we can. So if you're on, we have these quarantine, safer at home restrictions right now. So we're spending more time on electronics, and that's one thing that can scale. So if let's say 10 people in our group here, a minimum 10 people shared 3 positive things, like the exponential growth of positivity, even from our little circle here, can be impactful.
Mm-hmm. It's a horrible analogy, but I was watching something. I was researching on the internets about coronavirus and stuff like that, and the guy was talking about infecting people. And so if I am in contact with this many people, at the end of the day, I'll have basically affected, 10 to 1,000 people, whatever, depends how many people you come in contact with. This is the same thing. It's kind of like this is a good disease though, not the bad one where, you die and whatnot. So I know it's a horrible analogy, but that's the only thing I can think of. Leave me alone. I'm simple-minded.
No, dude, no, that's you can't get any more spot on than that. Like that's what you see, like, overnight you see these jumps in numbers because it is an exponential reach all of a sudden. So, hey, I got to stop though. We got a human moment, like with these pregnant pauses, right? Face out, drink water, dude. Yeah. So today, I'll forget about this, dude. Today I was at so my dog's got ear infections, like bad. And the vet we go to has got this drive up thing now, which is actually, I hope they keep it forever. Like, you drive up, you call them, they come get the dog for you, and you just sit on LinkedIn on your phone. Or I was actually doing some work emails, so it worked out great.
Okay.
Anyways, so they come get the dog, and then I'm sitting there, and some dude is kind of like pacing around his car, and I'm like, this is kind of odd. And he started looking at me oddly, and I'm like, interesting, about my age, whatever. So finally, he lifts up a pair of jumper cables, and then points at his car. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, guy needs a jump. So I'm like 2 spots over. So I kind of jockey in closer, and I get out, open my hood. So he's in front of his car. He's got his jumper cables. And before I walk over there, I'm still putting my hood prop up, and he's holding on to his side of the jumper cables. And like he's on a boat throwing them to me. He throws half of the freaking jumper cables at me. Well, they're too dang short, so it falls short and hits the ground and clunks, right? And he kind of gives me this look. He's like, well, I'm trying to social distance. Sorry. And I'm like, there's these like reasonable amounts of social distance.
It's like, calm down, hero. Just I'll come over. You can hose him down later with alcohol or something like that. I don't know, dude. I think people are blowing a little bit out of proportion. I get it. I understand.
Dude, it was so. Anyways,
that is funny.
He put him on his. He's like, well, which one do I put him on? Like, red and red is good. So he's putting on the red, and poor guy is shaking. So I'm guessing it was one of those like, not so savvy with vehicle type individuals. But anyways, I'm not here to judge, right?
No,
so
just make fun of.
Trying to put it on the positive. Yeah, exactly. So anyways, I did laugh. I called my wife, and I'm like, you've got to hear this crap. But
Yeah. Hey, man, it happens, dude. I totally get it. Like, I don't understand that because I'm very mechanically inclined, but basic things like that. It's amazing how some people don't, they've never done it. And so they're like, I don't know what to do. Obviously he was stressed out because he's walked around, there's so many stressors in life and he's like, oh, coronavirus. Oh, my battery's dead. Where do I put the leads? So
so he was sitting there for at least 30 minutes with his he got this big old sound system going in there and stuff. I'm like, he's probably going to drain his battery,
oh
his
yeah.
battery.
Well,
So it was kind of comical, but the moral of that story was like the social distancing thing is people are out of their freaking gourd.
yes, yes. And oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, and the thing that he doesn't know is that when he's bumping all his music and, the trying to pull all that current, I'm going to get nerdy here for you just for 2 seconds, but that alternator, he's going to burn that thing out because the battery has no charge and the alternator's working, double time and blah, blah,
No
blah, blah.
capacitor, nothing. Like, what's this guy thinking, dude?
Yeah. Where's the flux capacitor, yo? 3.7 whatever gigawatts.
But the
So,
moral of the story is the idea of this, and trying to keep a clear mind through all this. I think the more positive mindsets we have, the clearer thinking we're going to have. The less of the fight, flight, or flee, or freeze rather response that we do have to even small things. Like this guy is probably a brilliant dude, but he's so stressed out right now. He's not thinking logically. And to take that a step further, I'm not going to name any names, but I have a sister that's in infectious control right now.
yeah.
And I was talking to her last night for a while, and she said that she had MDs calling her. So she's been in a position for a month and a half. She's been a nurse for years, but took over this new infectious disease like director position, like right prior to this pandemic breaking out. Right, like you couldn't move there, sis. No, I'm actually very proud of her, and it was a phenomenal move for her career wise, and she's stepped up to the challenge. Like I'm super proud as a brother, but anyways, she told me that like she has MDs calling her asking her like what to do with patients that come in with like COVID-19, and she's like, giving the appropriate response respectfully, empathetically, all that stuff. And she's stopping to think like, this guy's been an MD for 30 years. I've been a nurse in this position for a month and a half. Like, I'll give you the advice that I know how to give, but he's clearly smart enough to know what to do now, but it's staggering, the response people are doing right now.
Yeah, that's very very interesting because I was going to ask if your sister, so she's is she like a RN, I guess, or she's a NP?
She started as an RN and then she went and got her master's degree in I think nursing administration or something or another in nursing, but management type stuff. So her role is, she's not a clinician as you would call it now. She's more in a management like a director role. So
okay.
She's running a command center right now for the clinic. I think there's like 15 clinics. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Wow. But so she's, obviously working with other hospitals with, the health boards and all that kind of stuff. So, as a younger sister to almost her older brother, I'm super proud that she's stepping up to this challenge. And dude, we were laughing so hard yesterday with some of the things that are happening right now with, and she's not naming names, but she's dropping some stuff that just like, hearing the underbelly of our medical system right now, it's like, it's no surprise that we're hearing of so much toxicity. If those people that I respect greatly are stressing so much, making these, kind of horrific
decisions.
Yeah. It's like, for cops, for instance, you get into a shooting as a cop and they get just torn apart, like, the day after, the Monday morning quarterback type stuff, like dude was stressed out and he shot a guy that was, threatening his life and he dumped a whole, magazine into the guy. Like, I always say, like, I would shoot 2 magazines into the guy, right? Like, make sure the guy's dead.
Mag change.
So we judge them so hard, but then we give a pass to everybody else in society that has to face stress and they make stupid decisions, right? But that's interesting.
No, that you're 100% spot on. Yeah, thank you to your sister for what she's doing, and thank you to all the healthcare professionals out there that are doing what they're doing. I have a lot of friends and family that are in that industry, and also had a lot of friends and family that are in the trucking industry. And thank you guys and gals.
100% I agree.
Can't
people are fun, but yeah,
bro, I can't thank y'all enough. Like, y'all do a lot of amazing work, and I'm very, very grateful for it. So thank you.
100%. In fact, to that point, like, our appreciation should go past just words. And I don't know how we'd start now, but I do think if there's any medical personnel out there that are listening and they're like, hey, this is something that you guys could help us with, whether it's, thoughts, prayers, supplies, like, words of inspiration, whatever it is, I would love to hear what it is and maybe see if we can't plug some of those holes. because I don't want to be just lip service here. If we're truly trying to make a change, we should be the agents of change as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the only thing I will say is I was looking for on Red Cross to when and where I can donate blood. So next month I can donate some of my O positive. So hopefully everything goes well and I can still do that. That way, at least I can at least give a little bit.
Hmm.
So
I love it. I think that's great. And like I talked about before, I tried with the whole malaria thing kind of.
they're like, no, leper, go away, get away
I was
from me,
like, no,
you.
it's been a couple of years. I think I'm
I'm
good.
good. I'm good,
Um,
man. I'm good.
anyways, but I mean, in all seriousness, yeah, we do have, I have multiple sisters in nursing and other family members that are in the career field too. And also with trucking, obviously we're obviously around trucking with our business and everything else. And we know a lot of truckers and yeah, it's times like these that we really see. We say these essential services are the most important, but really, I mean, there's so many different things that make this world go round. So I'm not going to go down that daisy chain today, but the fact of the matter is right now, the trucking industry is obviously feeling a lot of pressure as well. And same with the medical industry as well. So our great deal of appreciation goes out from us for sure to them.
Hmm. Absolutely. So I think we're bumping up on our time limit there, huh?
Yeah, it might be. Well, you know what? It was a good little giggle today. Had some good time, getting together and kind of chatting about some positive, mindset. I think it's always important to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was a random test on Zoom. So we'll see how it goes, folks. Hopefully everything turns out well. And then I'll post it to social as soon as possible. But be grateful, everyone. Don't be negative. Affect the
Peace.
people. Yep. Affect the people around you. Be positive.